जैसे हमारे हिरन हो गए, जैसे बहुत चीज हो गई, तो डिपेंड करता है हाउ मच यू कैन टैग दीज थिंग्स। हमारे वाइल्ड लाइफ में हमारे अर्थवॉर्म जो है वो हमारी फील्ड को ठीक करते हैं।
We would like to welcome you all on our 506th webinar. 6th, sir.
जी, yes sir.
Ayush and Wildlife. Honorable President, Canadian College of Ayurveda, Dr. Harish Verma ji, has asked the right question, sir. Our Ayurveda has not differentiated in animal origin medicine or mineral origin medicine, because Ayurveda is only the text where they have differentiated guna prabhav virya of each and every different months, according to the movement of the animal, according to the feed of animal. They have classified them according to their medicinal efficacy also. Kasturi, Gorochan, etc. are the common example which has been now obsolete in our Ayurvedic practice, as we are not conserving our wildlife animals. Kasturi, now it is deer are being conserved, means protected. They are injecting, diluting that kasturi, and they are again taking that out. So definitely a miracle is there by technology. So Ayurveda has definite connection with animal kingdom also. But in last webinar on biodiversity and in last webinar on animal kingdom, somebody asked me, very experienced person, that whether our Ayush is harmful for them, for biodiversity also, for animal kingdom also, because Gande ka seed that is being used for marketing, the medicinal use. Sande ka tel that is also being used for medicinal properties. So whether we are harming our wildlife or we are supporting our wildlife to have that conservation type of action, and we will get that material lifelong without exploitation of wildlife. So my theme was this. I hope and I am confident that Dr. Harish Verma ji has received the answer in very humble way. Am I wrong, sir?
नक्र का शुक्र रेयरेस्ट ऑफ द रेयर, नक्र का शुक्र रेयरेस्ट ऑफ द रेयर,
वीर बहुटी
या
हाँ
जी डॉक्टर साहब जो इंडिया में वाइल्ड लाइफ डिपार्टमेंट है, यहाँ से हमें कुछ मेडिसिन की, कुछ हर्ब्स की परमिशन लेनी पड़ती है। जो रेयर स्पीसीज हैं, जो एक्सटिंक्ट स्पीसीज हैं, खास करके ये कुटकी देखिए, अगर कुटकी को आपने एक्सपोर्ट करना है इंडिया से, तो इसकी एक लिस्ट है जो वाइल्ड लाइफ डिपार्टमेंट इशू करता है। ये मैं आपके साथ ये शेयर करता हूँ, ये वाइल्ड लाइफ डिपार्टमेंट का डॉक्यूमेंट है इंडिया का, जिसमें ये रेयर हर्ब्स हैं, और इन हर्ब्स को अगर कोई आप एक्सपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं, अगर उसका सोर्स कल्टीवेशन है आपके पास, देन यू कैन एक्सपोर्ट इट। अगर उसका आपके पास ये प्रूफ नहीं है कि ये कल्टीवेटेड है या वाइल्ड है, देन दे विल नॉट अलाउ यू। तो
जी सर, थैंक यू।
ये मैं आपके साथ शेयर करता हूँ, अभी चैट में डालता हूँ, ये नेट पे अवेलेबल है। ये वाइल्ड लाइफ डिपार्टमेंट है एक, जिसकी परमिशन लेनी पड़ती है। इतना मुझे थोड़ा नॉलेज है सर।
थैंक यू
प्रणाम सर, प्रणाम।
So now I would like to request our first speaker on the topic wildlife. Welcome, Dr. Sekat, welcome. You are mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. It's a privilege to be present on this platform one more time. Without much delay, let me move into the topic about wildlife conservation. And as I was hearing your discussion, it is important just to highlight is that why wildlife is very closely related to forest and plants is because of the fact that a vast section of the forest plants, which could be medicinal plants or could be non-medicinal plants too, are dependent on pollination. And these pollinations are afforded by a large number of insects, birds, small mammals, as well as bats for the purpose. Unless these animals survive, there will be no cross-pollination of these endangered plants, which includes many medicinal plants. So wildlife is integrated with the conservation of medicinal plants in a holistic approach, in the sense that both are dependent on one another. If we lose some of these species, the plants on which they collect their nectaries and pollen grains, they will also vanish. And if the plants vanish, the animals will lose their food sources, and then they will vanish too. So there is a very close interassociation between animals and plants on this particular aspect. But overall, why are we so much engrossed about wildlife conservation? Why is it becoming so important? Is because we are losing our biodiversity, which includes not just wildlife, also includes lots of those plants, our mineral resources in the forests, and major and minor forest products, which includes timber, honey, medicinal plants, mushroom, everything. Is a large number of factors. Each factor would need a lot of discussions, but we'll just highlight what are these factors which are first causing the loss of these wildlife and our forest resources. And number one of them is overexploitation and environmental pollution. As we know that as our human population is increasing around the world, we need more agricultural land, more job opportunities. So industries are growing up. And as a result, we are removing vast section of virgin forests to make way for infrastructural needs, which is inevitable. Like with the high population that we have, the growth rates that we are seeing around the world, particularly in developing and underdeveloped countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, it is quite challenging that for the governments therein to find out ways for settlement of the people, housing, residences, jobs, agriculture, food security. And the easiest way that's happening is the removal of forest and making way for infrastructure, which means more agricultural lands, more industrial units being established, infrastructural needs like railways, highways, road networks that are being constructed, which is being inevitable. The sad part is that none of the government or the environmental agencies around the world, other than a few developed countries, take responsibility in replantation or regeneration of the forest. So if there is a ratio of 1:20 plants that you need to replace, so if you are cutting out one tree, you need to replace it by 20 to 30 trees. This revegetation is happening at a very, very slow, unprecedented, unmonitored way. As a consequence, the amount of forest that is being lost is not being regenerated. And as this habitat becomes fragmented, it is very, very much challenging for the wildlife to survive. And this is the reason you will see that in most of the time, the forest, scanty forest resources are pushing animals like, sometimes you will see elephants, leopards, tigers, bison, rhinoceros moving into the towns, municipalities, or villages, coming into direct human-animal conflict. And unfortunately, a large number of these animals causes huge damage to life and properties, as also these animals are being killed. Poaching is another extensive source or a factor that is responsible for the degradation and depletion of wildlife around the world. And India is at the hot focus of this poaching and illegal wildlife trafficking through various corridors that operates from India into China. And some of them are through India, UP, Bihar, Nepal into China. Some of them are through India, Himachal Pradesh, Tibet into China. And others are across West Bengal into Bangladesh, Myanmar, and then into China. So all these corridors, which crosses through a number of international borders, in spite of the best security that the government could provide, there are huge challenges of lawlessness in these areas. And there are antisocial elements, terrorist groups operating in and around this. And people living around these areas are extremely poor. They are suffering from abject poverty. And many of these areas are extremely isolated, very difficult to reach. And as a consequences, there is mafia gangs, wildlife looters, poachers that are replacing the people and taking over these small minor villages. Remember, all these people who has lived a significant amount of their time in close association of the forest has very good knowledge of the forest resources, where to find those animals, where to find those medicinal plants, where to collect those timbers. And what is happening is these terrorist groups and other infiltrators are actually arming these poor villagers with sophisticated arms, which could harvest a lot of more animals that we could even think about. Even they are being recruited as guides, they're recruited as transporters, they're recruited as traffickers. So there is an unprecedented loss that is happening in this particular manner, which is through human-induced agent. And then there is partly human-induced and partly natural factors of climate change and global warming, which we know, and environmental pollution, which is causing a great depletion and degradation of forest around the world. Particularly in developing countries, we know the example of Brazil. The Amazon forest, which is the lungs for the world, is being depleted at a very high rate. Big sectors of Amazon forest in Brazil and other adjoining countries are being converted into agricultural lands or ranching land, range lands for grazing cattle. And this is happening under government participation along with non-government organization. And these are all these factors which are depleting wildlife resources at an alarming rate. Furthermore, what is more shocking to share is that there is a demand for bush meat in many countries. The biggest reported countries in these areas are, as you would know, is China, parts of Southeast Asia, parts of Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia, and some African countries where wild meat, or bush meat as it is technically called, where wild animals are harvested for meat products. Now, many of these countries are extremely poor. They do not have stable resources, livestock, other than animal or poultry feed, which they can feed their local population for supply of protein sources. But for many of them who live close to the forest, they are harvesting the animals at an unprecedented rate. This has been a traditional practice from the days of the hunter-gatherers. But even as the time has changed and we have moved into a new millennium, it is the reality that in many remote villages, it happens even in various parts of Northeast India till date, is where people are harvesting animals directly from the forest and using them as a source of protein, as a source of food. And this is being done at an unprecedented rate. And it is very difficult to control unless there is a strong participation of government and non-government organizations at the ground level to restrict or control this, because a part of the food habit and a culture. But the most devastating and alarming country which has come up within this millennium is China, where there is a huge demand for natural wildlife resources, plants, which they are harvesting from every adjoining countries. Even from far off continents like Africa and Latin America, people are getting a huge number of these species being channeled out through various trafficking routes into China. And many of them are used in Chinese traditional medicine, which includes a wide range of animal products from the sea, plants, and wildlife. Pangolin, the scaly anteater, has become the most trafficked animal in the world. It is found in African continent and in parts of Asia, in Southeast Asia, India, China. And most of these species, there are 5 species in the world, and most of these have become extremely critically endangered because of consumption of wildlife meat that has become a delicacy in China, where they are harvesting animal products from all parts of the world, which could be tiger, eyes of the tiger, penis of the tiger, bones of the tiger being used, bile, gallbladder of the bear, and all other strange resources, use of rhinoceros horn for aphrodisiac. Most of them do not sound a scientific basis on which they are used, but they are extremely popular. And China, being a hugely populous country, dependent extensively on traditional Chinese and Tibetan medicine, they're extremely exclusively, there is a high requirement of these wildlife products, which recently has been devastating wildlife around the world because the traffic routes are all going into China. There are huge illegal black markets that are operating there under the participation of the government, which the government of China does not agree or will never accept. But it's happening because there is an exchange of billions of dollars worth of industrial wealth that is happening. Even elephant meat is popular. You will be surprised to know that recently in various southeastern countries, they're finding that poachers are killing elephants and they are not taking just the bones and the tusks for ivory trade, which is banned, but they're also taking out, they're skinning the animals. The elephant skin has become a delicacy in China in some food parts, and in other parts, they're being used in jewelry. They are made into artificial beads and made into fancy jewelries, which has become extremely popular across the country. So all these factors, together with both natural and anthropogenic forest fires, are detrimental factors that are causing a great depletion of wildlife. The time that we are discussing, we are losing one species after another. Various species of rhinoceros, various species of wildcats are getting birds, mammals, reptiles, fishes, all are getting extinct. And many of them are important medicinal sources. But what is happening is we are harvesting more from the nature than we could regenerate. As the professor from the College of Ayurveda mentioned, that indeed, it is very difficult to grow many of these Ayurvedic or medicinal plants commercially because we do not have enough biological agricultural information about the parameters for the need of their growth. So they are harvested from the forest in large numbers. And unless the government places strong restrictions, a huge number of these plants are harvested illegally and are transported across the border to an extent that many of them are facing extinction. And unless careful steps are taken now, it will be very difficult to protect these wildlife and our forest resources. Now, last but not the least, what could we do? This is a very challenging issue that we are all facing through. Few of the suggestions that we have that has come up through extensive research is that we are failing to include the human factor in the conservation process. So, for example, our Kaziranga sanctuary model has become an extremely successful conservation model for the entire world. What was happening is there are numerous villages in and around the Kaziranga sanctuary, and there are people who are extremely poor. They have very minor agricultural land, that they were extremely dependent for generation on the forest resources. And as a consequences, they got into this poaching, they got into the associated with various terrorist groups to help them in poaching and guiding them into the forest to collect various resources, including poaching wildlife. But over the years, the government of Assam and the Wildlife Department, along with collaboration with the central government, the Ministry of Environment, has played a leading role in involving these people as stakeholders. By meaning, what we mean by that is that they are involving the people in the conservation process itself, rather than protecting the forest and the wildlife from them. How are they doing it? They are including these people as porters, whether temporary or long-term forest guards, as laborers, as plentiful guides for the tourist season. They're employing them in the maintenance of the elephant herds. They're maintaining them in the controlled firing of the forest. They're maintaining them for supply of intelligence-related information of infiltrators moving or illegal immigrants moving into the forested areas, or about any wildlife sightings that are happening outside the forest. So they have become the hand and face and the ear of the forest department. And overall, the government has also promoted a lot of homestay in and around these villages for numerous national as well as international tourists who are visiting Kaziranga Sanctuary, because the government guest houses are limited. The hotels that the government has created down the line, or the private hotels that have come up, is still not being able to cater to the wide range of populations of tourists that are visiting this area. Whether such huge tourist influx is good or bad, other than economically, can be a debatable question. But unquestionably, this has helped by the increase of ecotourism, by the help of increase of homestaying and around the Kaziranga forest areas. All these poor villagers who have suffered for generation from abject poverty has found jobs year round. They have been allocated agricultural lands. They are growing medicinal plants. They are helping to grow nursery for the forest plants, and which they are regenerating in the forest. All these factors show that there are poaching incidents that are happening till date in Assam, in Kaziranga or Manas Sanctuary, but it has reduced significantly to the extent that it's only a few roundabout this year, because the monitoring and surveillance has become good with the use of these stakeholders who are ground level workers and has been associated with this forest for such a long time. So this is an example that I suggest should be applied by most of the governments around the world to involve the people around the forest to take them as stakeholders in the process of conservation. And in addition, education and awareness is always an important aspect that we need to do. And it is to be incorporated. Environmental conservation, environmental pollution is now being included even under the general allopathic courses around the world. I strongly suggest that environmental conservation and other environment-related topics or a section should be included in our Ayurveda curriculum, undergraduate and postgraduate too, so that the students who are completing the courses are well-rounded and are aware of the challenges that they are or will be going to face with the natural resources that is the very basic source of Ayurvedic medication and treatment. With this, I thank once again Professor Sharma and other associates and other dignitaries and presenters who are in this platform today. Thank you. It has been a pleasure to be with you and would love to answer any question if anyone has. If not, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure with you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Sekar. Thank you very much. You are really amazing. When you start,
Thank you, sir.
Really, you can only end it. Great. Excellent.
Thank you.
Knowledge, communication, flow, everything is perfect and super. Agniotri, sir.
Really, your words are valuable. Dr. Sokat, for me it is surprising that how much stock of treasure of knowledge is always with you as a ready reckoner.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you are too kind. I greatly appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
Day before yesterday, I found that you have changed your hairstyle and now it is more charming and much more pleasurable. But
I had a bunch of official meetings today, yeah.
Right. But by combing your hair, you also combed the whole of the knowledge and encapsulated in such a way that irrespective of topic, you free flow mein, you told everything. And really, your last suggestion that the subject of wildlife conservation be included in undergraduate and postgraduate syllabus of Ayurvedic students, then it will be go a long message that how we can be useful to manage this thing. Apart from the harvesting or damaging, these things are different. What government, what PWD, what CWD is doing, making flyovers and all that, that is different. But as far as our forests are concerned, where the rarest of the rare species are there, how they can be protected, these Devbogul students, those who are doing MD and PhD,
Absolutely.
they can be of great use of. So thank you for your great
very nicely worded. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, over to Pawan Sharma ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. On the topic, I would like to request Dr. Parul Joshi ji. Welcome, madam. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Pawan sir.
Good evening. I am so grateful that you have accepted our proposal within short notice. As I know, you are also treasure of knowledge. Welcome.
So it has been my pleasure to be a part of IRE. And I have always liked to present myself. So let's start. It's already quite late. Ayurvedic concept to wildlife conservation. That's the topic I've selected. When we talk of wildlife and conservation, we go on the net and we see that there are so many times in the year when we talk about wildlife conservation or ecosystem restoration, or we have annual photographic contest for wildlife, World Wildlife Day, Wildlife Week. Even then we have to talk about this topic, and we are all tense about what's happening around us. What is wildlife? Birds, plants, animals, fishes, etc. that are wild and live in natural environment are having a wildlife. Conservation is careful preservation and protection of something, especially planned management of natural resource to prevent exploitation, destruction, or neglect. Water conservation is one example. Wildlife conservation is preservation of physical quantity during transformations or reactions. So when Australia faces wildfire, and when it comes out from that, and that regeneration process is supposed to be very tough. So actually, in our Dang district of Gujarat, we have a problem of bamboos getting burned. So what we do is every third year, the bamboos are cut down. The old bamboos are cut down and new shoots are allowed to grow. So what happens is they don't catch fire. So India has been managing herself, and very scientifically we have been managing ourselves, and that's just beyond our vision. And that's why we are talking so much and taking so much stress and pain. But anyway, this topic needs to be discussed and vividly discussed. So local wildlife sites are areas of land especially important for their valuable wildlife. And World Wildlife Day, the theme of this today is recovering key species for ecosystem restoration. So these two pigeons are saying what are synonyms for conserve, and this person is saying synonyms for consume. So the animation is very clear. Consumption is opposition of conservation, and so we will talk in the same way. Wildlife is defined under section 2 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 India, and that includes animals, either aquatic, terrestrial, and vegetation that form part of any habitat. So that wildlife, which plays a significant role in the ecosystem, as crucial role in balancing environment, has its importance extends to spheres of economic importance, investigatory importance, gene bank, conservation of biological diversities, cultural importance. So all this together makes wildlife very precious. We have Wildlife Crime Control Bureau that curbs illegal trade of wildlife, including endangered species, as has been discussed by my previous speaker and also by Dr. Harish. Article 51A of Constitution of India 1950, of fundamental duty of citizens to protect wildlife and have compassion for living creatures. Article 48A of the Constitution provides that it is duty of state to protect, safeguard, and work for improvement of forests and wildlife of the country. Subject of protection of wild animals and birds is enlisted under Schedule 7, List 3, the concurrent list of the Constitution of India. Thus, both union and state governments have power to govern the subject. Our problem till 2014 was they never had collateral working. They always worked against each other, and that's why poachers benefited from there. For example, in Tamil Nadu, we had that Chandan problem, same way as has been discussed about Assam. So these problems are related with government strata also. The international excuse me, please. Treaties governing wildlife. There are several global and regional instruments for wildlife conservation. CITES, CMS, which is signed under United Nations Environment Program. CBD enhances conservation of biological diversity and sustainable use. All told, more than half of the globe is linked with some or the other convention on international trade, migration, biodiversity, wetlands. This UNESCO convention concerning protection of world cultural and natural heritage has 193 parties, means 193 countries are a part of the convention, and yet it's not effective. Now, they have put this slide, how international wildlife law, its scale, its action, stability, its cooperation, priority, hub, compliance lead to conservation outcomes. So when there is no tuning between all this, we don't get the outcome that is conservation. And that is the need of the hour, bringing a coordination between all these points on global front. Chipko movement of India, Uttarakhand, is a very known movement led by the ladies, village ladies, simple ladies. You can see these are the original photographs, and this was a film made on it. The Chipko Andolan, as they called it, the ladies, the children, the girls used to just cling to the trees and not allow the poachers of the trees to cut them. And that Andolan made Government of India take stern action, and the ladies were successful. The second is India's active contribution. Example 2 is our Gir National Park for lions. It's the Gujarat model. Same way what my previous speakers said, that the government included all the villages around the Gir forest, and all those villagers who used to say that these lions are taking away our cattle and they are harming our this animal husbandry, and the same villagers started taking care of the lions, and they saw how to protect their own cattle and yet see that the lion is not harmed. That brought about a drastic change in the census. So here you see that August 10, since 2016, is celebrated globally as World Lion Day. The Gir National Park in Gujarat is under the Forest Department. Lone abode of Asiatic lions in the world, in the wild. The lions are in the wild, as you can see. They are able to sit on the road, move in their packs. The adults, even the cubs, they all move without any fear in the Gir sanctuary. The combined effect of local communities and forest department helped to bring the number from 20 to 674 in a matter of only 3 years. And that day I still remember the increase rate of 28.87, you can say 29% increase. The then CM and present PM was so excited. He started speaking and tweeting and sending messages that, see, we did it, we can do it. So he congratulated all the local people, and that is what is needed. The जो काम करते हैं ये लोग, these villagers, उनको अगर appreciation सिर्फ दे, you don't even pay them, they are ready to help us. They don't know the importance of what they are doing or what they are capable of doing. If we just motivate them, they are able to do wonders. This is that example. I would like to add one example over here also, that when we build roads, we cut trees. So in Gandhinagar, when the roads were broadened, new roads were built, the big trees, very huge trees had to be cut. So people started saying that, see, now the Gandhinagar will never remain green capital of Gujarat, and what this CM is doing and all that. the forest department, made a gigantic plantation in the riverbed, and that plantation has now become a big forest over there. So that is what a government can do. The third experience is Banni Desert of Kutch, Asia's finest grassland in Kutch gets new lease of life. That is written by Times of India. This was what Banni region was. It just got into an arid zone. There was salinity, animal grazing, loss of precious seeds. The species of plants were lost. And there was a big climate change. It turned into a desert-like area. The Keir Foundation, I have met Dr. Gupta of Keir Foundation, and he was my patient at Kolavada, and he talked about this project very elaborately. So the Gujarat Ecological and Education Research Foundation took up the pilot project, removed mechanically the acacia, we call it Ganda Bawar, is Australian acacia, tilled the area, planted 10 species of native grass. See, local they planted. Result was an arid 2,500 square kilometer of the project is now a lush green land. You can see over here, a lush green land provides employment, fodder for cattle, seed bank, preserves and provides seed, and the environment has become healthy. It's no more a desert now. And now the government of Gujarat told Dr. Gupta ji that you give this Keir Foundation a boost and let's make it a industry. And he has refused it because he's on another project. So this is, Rajiv Gupta ji, Additional Chief Secretary, Forest and Environment. And this is a concise summary of what he has done there. And the milk products, the quality of milk, the quantity of milk, all increased. The persons living there who were leaving Banni came back and started residing there. That is what they have achieved over here. This is my fifth example. Run of Kutch, Gujarat Hybrid Renewable Energy Park. This is another Gujarat model. Run of Kutch is a desert, we know it, stretches into 72,600 hectares. And now world's largest hybrid solar wind park is coming up. That power park is construction cost is 150 crore. That is $19 billion. And when it gets ready, it will be giving 30 gigawatt renewable energy. And employment is already employing people, but this energy is green energy and renewable energy. So what happens is we are going to conserve our natural resources and see that this energy is going to boost other industries also. So what is needed is industrial development should go hand in hand with agri development, animal husbandry, etc. And this project is going to do that. This year is solar parks at Charanka village, Modhera village, and Bhadla in Rajasthan. So we can see here, Charanka village, they got a wind and they are producing 15 megawatt. Modhera village itself is the first solar power village of India. And as per UN Secretary General, reconciliation between humankind and planet. And the villagers say that they have benefited immensely from this, not only economically, but even they say that we feel that we are saving the biofuel. This largest solar park of the world is coming up at Bhadla, Phalodi, Tehsil, Jodhpur district of Rajasthan. So India will be going quite ahead in the next years to come. Indian government's mass movement for life, that is lifestyle for environment. So Ayurveda comes here. You can see that green habitat, there is solar panels on the rooftops, and you can see that the birds are flying, the sun is bright, there is river water flowing. So we are not disturbing the ecology, the ecosystem, and yet we are able to cope up with the times. So that is what life is about. Life is lifestyle for environment. So this we are going to complete by 2030, and that Government of India has included tax concessions, production linked incentive schemes for promotion of manufacturing and adoption of renewable energy, provide an opportunity for enhancing India's manufacturing capabilities and enhancing exports. This will create overall increase in green jobs, renewable energy, clean energy industries, automotives, manufacturing of low emission products. As we can see in this, the houses, the greenery there, the water is put there. This water is going to remain cool, so we don't need a refrigerated water. That's going to keep our health. So electric vehicles, super efficient appliances, innovative technologies, green hydrogen, etc. are multiple benefits which we are going to get in the coming years by accepting life. Prevention of cruelty to animals, amendment bill, that is under discussion in the parliament. Bestiality means any kind of sexual activity. So some people ask that, is it possible? AIDS is an example. AIDS came because of bestiality. Gruesome cruelty. No, AIDS was not, this disease did not originate in India. So India does not believe in this. We believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and Ayurveda believes that sexual contact should be between a male and female only. Male to male or female to female is not called sex. It is not maithuna. It's only mental illness, and that should not be entertained. So beasts or animals do not come anywhere. Gruesome cruelty act involving animals which lead to extreme pain, suffering, mostly likely to leave the animal in lifelong disability, which includes mutilation, killing of animal, transportation animals like camel, horses, mules, donkeys. Laws have been enacted, but people do not know that their behavior is creating pain or giving disability to the animals who can't speak human language. They have their own languages, but we are not able to understand their language. So we are weak and we are harassing or giving them pain. This is the map of world where laws are enacted, and all these colors denote which type of punishment they or the person who is injuring the animals will be getting. Now, the country that is doing maximum bestiality and gruesome cruelty to animals does not have any law there. And India, where we do not do cruelty to animals, we believe that who cannot speak is dependent on us, needs to be taken proper care of. We have very strong laws and imprisonment up to 10 years or 15 years. So that way, India is ahead of the so-called developed country. Biological experiments on live frogs, cockroaches, earthworms have been banned in India since 1990s. And that's why we did biological experiments on frogs. So we were very much clear in biology and how to do dissection, all that. So when we had to do human dissection, we didn't have any problems. But after us, it was banned. And that's why only 1 year behind me, they are not able to do things perfectly or with confidence. Amendment to Section 9K, impart education and capacity building. FIPA and IIL, India's apex animal rights body, Federation of Indian Animal Protection Organizations, FIAPO, has partnered with Indian Immunologicals Limited, IIL. And that's why they have taken the project Rabies, and they are now going to take up other projects also. Mission of Mercy for Animals. This mission is to construct compassionate food system by reducing suffering and ending exploitation of animals for food, as these banners say. The elephant is telling the whale in the water, there is hope. Yes, there is hope. They will be able to live a dignified and a healthy life. Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. This society is under Section 3A, and you can see the logo. They are based all India level. There are 5 freedoms for animals: freedom from thirst, hunger, malnourishment, discomfort due to environment, pain, injury, and diseases, express normal behavior for the species, freedom from fear and distress. And if taken properly, the municipalities and panchayats who are responsible for care of community animals, then we can have a healthy society where these animals can live with humans healthily. Yes, this is the way they keep dogs, and this is the way they should be given feelings, taken care of. These polices have caught these 2 calves. See, this is a Gaushala where 3 cows are already dead, and other cows, they are hungry, so are taking the grass which is lying near those dead cows. This is not the environment we humans can give to an animal, and this is actually an inhuman behavior. We can neither behave like this nor like this. We need to take care of them. हम बोलते हैं मूक है, बोल नहीं पाते हैं, तो we need to take care of them. And if we take care of them, they give so much love. They give their life for us. I remember my first dog. I was actually afraid of dogs. And my first dog was bitten by our neighbors. The puppy was only 1 year old, and he was crying bitterly. I could not go near him because I was feeling very afraid, but mother was very confident. She went near him, observed him, made shira for him, halwa as you say, made for him in good, and gave it to him. The baby was not able to get up, but sleeping, he just ate it. And after 2 days, he was able to walk limping. He came near a house. Mother let him in. And after that, he never left our house. But in the whole age of 18 years, I used to call him Khodidas. Khodidas could never put his left hind leg on the ground and walk. He had to walk on 3 legs only. And after that, I have made a habit, and I see on the road whenever I travel or when I'm sitting in my veranda, I see that there are multiple accidental injuries they face due to our ignorance, due to our speed, due to our hostile behavior. They suffer the whole life, and that is what we cannot do as humans. It is inhuman. So the animal laws, cruelty, wildlife control comes under Constitution of India. It comes under Indian Penal Code 1860, before independence, Criminal Procedure Code 1973, Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960, before my birth, Wildlife Protection Act 1973, the Police Acts, the Municipal Corporation Acts, and yet they are not functioning. Why? Because we are careless about them. We don't care about them. Here, you can see during COVID lockdown, that is COVID-19, animals, birds, insects had free reign, which resulted in many extinct species of plants, creepers reappeared. Extinct varieties of medicinal plants and marine species of algae, plants, fisheries, etc. have been relocated by experts. My son's friend is in Navy. He showed me photographs saying, "Auntie, ये तो लुप्त हो चुके थे, दिखते ही नहीं थे, 50-60 साल के बाद ये फिर से दिख रहे हैं।" तो हम नेवी वाले इतने खुश हैं, अरे ये एक प्राणी को अंदर पिंजरे में पूर के रखना चाहिए, सब ठीक हो जाता है। हाँ, वो प्राणी हम ही है। एटमॉस्फेरिक चेंजेस became harmonious with seasonal changes. तो गर्मी में बारिश होती थी, बारिश में गर्मी होती थी, सर्दी में गर्मी होती थी, उसके बदले सर्दी में सर्दी है, गर्मी में गर्मी है और बारिश में बारिश बराबर बरस रहा है. So those atmospheric negative changes have now come into harmonious changes. Those who learned not to be out unnecessarily have maintained or improved their health and home environment. They benefited by staying indoors. So it's better we stay indoors. And as this Sonakshi Sinha says, choose leather-free objects. Don't choose leather. If we don't use these products, poachers will become ineffective. And for that, we need to educate people about these products, as Sonakshi ji has done. So, as they say, bye-bye animal abusers. Animals are companions, they deserve respect. And these are domestic. They are so near to us. We need to take care of them the way they take care of us. I have missed one slide, please, 1 minute. I missed one slide. That slide was on products used by Ayurveda. I think it got deleted by my son. Anyway, I'll tell on my face. This mruga, that is Kasturi mruga. We used to use Kasturi during winter season, and that has been banned. And we use Gopitta. That Gopitta comes from bile calculus of the cow. We used to cut open the cow only after she died a natural death. So that Gopitta used to become a calculus in her gallbladder, and that Gopitta we used to use as Gorochan. Same way, Praval Pishti, Praval Bhasma we are using, they are corals. This all we have stopped, and we have stopped because we don't want cruelty. So it's not only Jainism or Buddhism, it is humanism. It is Indianness. It is global fraternity that wants us to let them live, let them flourish, let them have a healthy, happy life. So as the squirrel says that, can I keep him? The child says. The squirrel says, no, I don't want to stay with you. This person, old age person, is helping the rhino come out of the pit. These vultures, they are natural scavengers. We need to bring them back. And that's why this bear says, after 3,000 years, we are back home. Let them come home. Let them come home to our Mother Earth. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Parulji. Thank you very much. You have really focused on the point and very clear message, very clear message. I have sent both of the speakers that suggestions on new bill 22 against the cruelty on animals is about to come, that is being discussed in Parliament. So definitely government is also thinking on that. We would like to welcome any new suggestions on the draft also. So thank you very much. Now I hand over the charge of moderation and everything to Professor V.K. Agnew.
Namaskar. Thank you to Professor Pawan Sharma ji. We were just listening Professor Vaidya Parul Joshi ji's presentation, how emotionally, how affectionately she presented whole of the topic with the manner that she is one of the, say, lover of the domestic pets and lifesaver of all these, whosoever is coming to him, just like she talked about the Gholi Das. Really, 18 years long journey was associated with the madam. It's a great thing. As she talked about the greenery and the plantation of so many plants and trees there in Gujarat, I do remember that, of course, in Telangana also, during 1 year or so, crores of new plants were planted. And I think it has been, what I remember, that it has become a record, a world record, almost 4 crore or so. So we start with our discussion with the presence of our respected Dr. Jagdish Domaji, because he belongs to Telangana, and he will definitely say something. He will correct me rather. And we have got only 2 other guest speakers along, Dr. Jomaji and Dr. Rajan Prangarji. So I would like to invite Dr. Jagdish Domaji to please give some important inputs in your state, and what I am remembering, to which extent it is correct, because greenery has been took a shape in Telangana. So please, I invite you. So please come and please give some of the thoughts on today's topics of webinar. Namaskar.
अग्निहोत्र जी, मेरा सादर प्रणाम। अब सभी लोगों को मेरा नमस्कार। अभी तो किन्हीं का मैं तो प्रेजेंटेशन सुना नहीं है। अभी थोड़ा सा नींद टूटते ही बाजू में मोबाइल रखा था, तो उसमें आया, तो तुरंत मैं जो है ना उठ के बैठा, और जब आप बुला रहे थे तो आपको नींद तो छूट ही जाता, क्यों एकदम भाग जाता है।
जल्दी, अभी 10 ही बजा है, 10 हुआ है आज से, फिर भी कंपैरेटिवली जल्दी है।
हाँ, नहीं, जनरली जो है ना मैं 9:30 10 तक सो जाता हूँ।
राइट सर,
बहुत कम 11 बजे सोने।
थोड़ा बताइए तो तेलंगाना की ग्रीनरी और प्लांटेशन के बारे में।
अभी जो तेलंगाना के बारे में बोल रहे थे, इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा विवरण तो दूंगा ही। और as far as generally I don't have paper gathering of the news and their presentation, because right from Corona, I stopped purchasing daily newspaper like that.
Right.
It is problem with the presentation. Actually, I do not know what in other states is going on, but in the state of Telangana, and while it was integrated state of Andhra Pradesh, there was frequently forestation, plantation. This was the slogan even of AP time also, when it was integrated state. I feel that whichever government comes, and first they start searching for the investments or something which can they draw very easily without the deep going of the people's mind. I feel it that it is nothing but a show off. Either one term or one term or 2 terms, these people. While Babu's government was there, just I commented in the, that means organizing, that means free camp of Ayurvedic system, which was being conducted by my nephew at Kurnool. In that, I just commented that government is trying to improve social forestry. Social forestry means, do you know, out of these people plantation, any amount of pollution is being attention means, naturally, the plantation should have the characteristic of controlling that. Out of that, just because by the side of me, I was this chair. I was chairing that meeting, and guest was district collector. He was some Trivedi from North India only. I'm quite nicely is not remembering his full name, but in short, Trivedi. Just when I commented that social forestry, and I was asking the gathering that, do you know, a plant will be there which will be releasing 24 hours oxygen, and adverse to that, a plant is there which releases carbon dioxide. And asked in the gathering, and including some 100 Vaidyas were also there. I asked that within 5 minutes, I want to get information from your side, but none answered my question. Later on, I explained that this plantation is going on from government side. At least they should consult the Ayurvedic section of people, or the people who are knowing which plant and which plant has got its effect, and will have much useful in plantation. Later on, when the meeting ended and just we were sitting for tea arrangement like that was there, then collector just bending to me asked that, doctor, I couldn't understand because my mother tongue is not Telugu, but you are referring that the word social forestry. What was your commentary? Then immediately I told collector sir, this was the matter that whichever is plantation going on from the government, spending so many money, but have little information by the known people that which and which plant help to control pollution very easily, something to some extent. But whichever being planted, simply you are giving attention that whether that may not be watering properly also should stick on to. Not like that. Actually, it should be useful. Right from the ages, there were some plants which in general we find in temple area. And temple area, they are such that they were in our tradition should not be cut off. And they should be, and they used to plant also. They used to preserve like that. But do you know, out of them is one which releases 24 hours oxygen is बोधि वृक्ष. अभी इसका बाद भी आया, पीपल की झाड़ जो बोलते हैं. तो हाँ, तो ये 24 आवर्स ऑक्सीजन छोड़ता है. और रिवर्स टू दैट कि टैमरिंड का वो जो है ना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड छोड़ता है. इसीलिए कारण जो इमली का झाड़ के नीचे बोलते हैं कि बड़े लोग बोलते हैं कि अरे बैठे नहीं रहो क्योंकि वहां पर तो भूत प्रेत रहेगा, ऐसा बोलते हैं. और इसका पीपल झाड़ का इतना महत्व है तो लोग ध्यान देते हैं. तो प्लांटेशन यही करे, अच्छा होता है. रिसेंटली जो है ना काफी डिस्कशन आ रहा है. मैं इवन इन जनरल टॉक आई एम हियरिंग फ्रॉम Yogi from UP, CM Yogi from UP, and he is planting medicinal plants, what I heard. And Pushpendra Kulashrestha, he also cited on one speech that likely should have been. तो यहाँ पर ऐसा होते होते मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि जितना भी ये लोग मनी एक्सपेंड करते हैं वो जो है ना काफी मल्टीफेरियस इफेक्ट इसके लिए देखना चाहिए. तो हर बार हर सरकार 5 साल के लिए बदल गया तो फिर ग्रीनरी करके तेलंगाना ने स्लोगन लाया और जो है ना वो हरितहारम तेलंगाना का स्लोगन वो था सामाजिक वृक्ष संपदा ये भी रहे समय. ये 5 साल के अंदर ही एकदम आ ही जाएगा, एकदम झाड़ पर जाएगा, कोई दिखेगा नहीं. पहले तो काटने का दिल लगा, बाद में जो है ना प्लांटेशन करने का प्लान आया. तो इसमें जो है ना काफी इकट्ठा कर सकते जेब में. तो इसीलिए इसका कोई मतलब नहीं. हम एक दिस आई कैन नॉट एट्रीब्यूट टू सीएम योगी but because he is somewhat straightforward man and keeping up the
sir, you told the reality you told. Thank you so much. Really, it's an eye-opening that Ashwath people is that's why so religious and so favorable to mankind or every person. At the same time, neem and bargad is equally good. But as far as the imli is concerned, that is to be kept away. But as far as the greenery is concerned, plants are giving oxygen not if 24 hours, but plants must be there. So plantation should be promoted. And if it is herbal, that's wonderful. Amla and other things. So I just noticed it that in Telangana, crores of plants were planted, and then it made a record, irrespective of the governor, whosoever is government party government was there, no problem. But for the greater sake of the humanity. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your inputs.
Now, at this instance, I am giving about Mahabubnagar collector's comment. Just when it was not GST, and just by the side of collector Bangla, I was passing to pay turnover tax in the treasury, having stamped at treasury and getting back to bank and to pay. That was happening. And it was just by the side of collector Bangla. The road was there to pass to collectorate and residence. And she was the collector, young collector, lady. She was giving pose to camera for social, this Haritaharam. And in the meanwhile, the villager approached to that garden, and the security just asked them to go away, like that. I was observing, and she was giving pose. And I was in hurry to pay.
सब चलता है. नहीं तो अखबार वाले क्या करेंगे, टीवी वाले क्या करेंगे, उन्हें तो कवरेज चाहिए. सब चलता है.
बता रहा हूँ.
जी, थैंक यू.
बता रहा हूँ. पोस्ट तो दे
In
ही रहे
short,
थे, जल्दीबाजी।
वैद्य
ओके,
वैद्य पटंगे जी की
जल्दीबाजी
हमने
था। मैं
रिमार्क
तुरंत पे करके लौटने तक भी अभी दे रहे थे, पोस्ट दे रहे थे। मैं जो है ना सोचा कि मुझे भी हकाल देगा ये सिक्योरिटी वाला, तो थोड़ा सा तो वो नजदीक गया, तब तो बोला मैं ड्रॉ यूर अटेंशन फॉर ए वाइल प्लीज करके मैं पूछा डायरेक्टली टू कलेक्टर। तो she turned her head like this to me, and immediately I asked that a plant will be there which releases 24 hours oxygen, and a plant will be there which releases 24 hours carbon dioxide. I am the proprietor of Srinivasa Ayurvedic Center and Consulting Physician. Please pass on the information. Which are those two plants? And I gave the visiting card also and left away the place. She was
in short, sir,
attentive
focused
to
on
my
short,
words.
sir.
And she did
10:30
it. She did it.
already being done, sir. Please be
Pardon.
brief, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So then
Thank you, sir.
she didn't, likely it goes on. It is not spending money. Thank you very much.
Agnihotri, sir. You are mute.
I would like to invite Vaidyanathan Patankar ji for the final comments, especially on both the topics of today's webinar, because he has become very rare. Rarely he is joining, so I am inviting with all due respect. Please, Vaidyanathan Patankar ji, स्वागत है।
yes, आपको भी प्रणाम। और पूरा सुन नहीं पाया, पर फिर भी कि जो नेवी के सेलर्स है उसमें हमारे, मैं जहाँ पे रहता हूँ वहाँ पे नजदीकी नेवल डॉक्स है, तो वहाँ के भी बहुत सारे पेशेंट्स आते हैं। तो उनको जितना हो सके उतना दिनचर्या और ऋतुचर्या के बारे में, और मैंने थोड़ा जो सुना, मेरे ख्याल से डील मैडम ने या पारुल जी ने जो कहा कि उनको स्नेहन करवाना, ये भी मैं उनको बताता हूँ कि जब भी वो ऑन बोर्ड रहते हैं तभी। और खाने पे ऐसा उनको कहता हूँ कि जब भी पूरी भूख लगे तो ही खा लो, मतलब वहाँ पे जो सी के वजह से जो इन्फेक्शन वगैरह होते हैं वो कम होने के चांसेस रहते हैं। और उनको धनिया, जीरा और अजवाइन ये एडवाइस करता हूँ लेने के लिए। वाइल्ड लाइफ कंजर्वेशन के बारे में कहा जाए तो महाराष्ट्र में आजकल ऐसा दिखाई दे रहा है कि स्पेशली बहुत सारे जो वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरीज है उसमें प्लांटेशन वगैरह भी हो रहा है, और जो वाइल्ड लाइफ है उसको भी अच्छी तरह से सेव करने की कोशिश हो रही है। पर आयुर्वेद के दृष्टिकोण से देखा जाए तो मेरा ये मानना है कि बीच में एक हमारे यहाँ के बड़े कंपनी के ऊपर भी केस हुआ था कि मृगशृंग के बारे में। तो ये जो बातें है ये भी गवर्नमेंट को समझनी चाहिए, क्योंकि हम लोग जो भी आयुर्वेद के लिए जो भी ये सब यूज करते हैं उसमें वाइल्ड लाइफ कंजर्वेशन करके ही वो यूज होता है, ना किसी प्राणी मात्रा की हत्या करके या उसको कुछ ठेस पहुंचा करके। तो ये भी एक दो बातें हैं। और प्लांटेशन के बारे में कहा जाए तो जैसा भी डोमा जी ने कहा, तो उसके लिए मैं खुद भी, मेरे जितने भी पेशेंट्स हैं और जिनके पास खेती है उनको आयुर्वेदिक प्लांटेशन करने की मैं प्रमोट करता हूं उनको। और स्पेशली कोकण एरिया में जो पेड़ लगाए जा सकते हैं वो भी लगाने के लिए उनको प्रेरित करता हूं। तो ये मेरा छोटा सा सोच और प्रयत्न चल रहा है। धन्यवाद अग्निहोत्री जी।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, बहुत बहुत। आपने बिल्कुल नटसेल में सारी जिम्मेदारी वाली बातें बता दी, अपने नेवी कैडेट्स के लिए भी, प्लांटेशन के लिए भी, वाइल्ड लाइफ के लिए भी, और ओवरऑल कैसे हम मानवता की रक्षा करें, कैसे हम प्राणिमात की रक्षा करें। और जो एनिमल सोर्स की प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, नेचुरली तो काफी टाइम हो गया उन पर बैन लगी गया, इसीलिए मृगशृंग भस्म या गोरचंद कस्तूरी कुछ भी नहीं होता। अंडर रूल्स कितना अवेलेबल है और कितना प्योर है, इसमें तो एडल्ट्रेशन की ज्यादा संभावना रहती है। तो आज की इस पूरी दोनों वेबिनार्स के लिए हम अपने सभी चारों गेस्ट स्पीकर्स के लिए, दो 505वीं के लिए और दूसरी 506 के लिए, चारों ही अपने गेस्ट डिस्टिंग्विश्ड स्पीकर्स का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करते हैं। उन्होंने बहुत कीमती समय निकाल के दोनों ही टॉपिक्स पर बहुत ही अच्छे अपने इनपुट्स दिए। और इसका 10% भी अगर मैसेज प्रैक्टिकली सभी के द्वारा स्वीकार कर लिया जाता है और 90% गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा स्वीकार कर लिया जाता है, तो हमारे वेबिनार के आयोजन का जो उद्देश्य है वो सार्थक होता दिखाई पड़ेगा। इन्हीं से शब्दों के साथ हम पुनः पवन शर्मा जी को वापस करते हैं प्लेटफॉर्म को। वो
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
इसीलिए
थैंक यू
जय हो
वेरी
पवन
मच।
जी, ऐसा ही
पवन जी
कहूंगा।
नहीं, थैंक यू सर। परसों फिर 2 वेबिनार है। कल मैं रात को ट्रेन में रहूंगा। परसों सॉइल डे पर वेबिनार है और माइक्रोवेव डे पर है। माइक्रोवेव डे पर उसके प्रमोशन के लिए है, लेकिन मैं उसके अगेंस्ट में जा रहा हूँ। कुक फ्रेश, अवॉइड माइक्रोवेव।
करेक्ट
ये
करेक्ट
मेरा
करेक्ट,
टॉपिक
1000% करेक्ट।
है। तो इसीलिए जुड़िएगा परसों
जरूर
रात को 8:30 बजे से। थैंक यू,
जरूर
थैंक यू,
जरूर जरूर।
थैंक यू। गुड
चलो,
नाइट।
शुभ रात्रि। शुभ
सभी
रात्रि
को
सर।
नमस्कार,
शुभ
शुभ
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
आज दिल्ली में हूँ, कल रात को भोपाल के लिए निकलूंगा, परसों भोपाल से होस्ट करूंगा।
आप सचमुच पवन ही हो, इसके लिए
हाँ।
आज यहाँ
अरे
कल वहाँ।
ये गोवा पहुंचने वाले हैं 7 तारीख में।
हाँ, 7 तारीख को।
8 तारीख को गोवा
गोवा
पहुंचे।